Hey, how's it going guys, Chris here, taking a look at another one of those Battlefield 1 DLC weapons, and today we're going to be running over the Chauchat light machine gun, which came along with They Shall Not Pass. So between the years of 1903 and 1910, Colonel Louis Chauchat initiated a project to design a portable LMG for the French army. Light enough to be carried by one man, yet still capable of firing the standard 8mm Lebel service ammunition, and after a few years of testing and trials, the machine rifle model 1915 CSRG, aka the Chauchat, was the outcome. When the Great War broke out in 1914, the French army desperately needed some extra firepower. They didn't really have any kind of LMG at the time, so it was pretty clear that they had to get something to fill in that empty void. Now, let's just say that the Chauchat hasn't exactly got the best reputation, and according to urban myth, it's often branded as being the worst gun ever designed. But just like always, the internet has probably blown this one out of proportion a bit, as it actually wasn't all that bad of a gun. Although the Chauchat was far from being perfect with its awkward ergonomics, it still usually functioned as intended and did what it needed to do. So why does everyone seem to think that it sucked? Well, there's a few reasons, with the main one being down to not the gun itself, but its half-moon magazines, which had massive holes cut into their sides to give a visual aid on how much ammo is left. As you can imagine, trench warfare took its toll here, as those holes quickly got clogged up with all kinds of crap. Not to mention that they were pretty flimsy and weren't exactly very reliable. Another reason behind the myth could be down to the later 1980 model of the Chauchat, designed for the Americans, which used straight box magazines holding 30-06 rounds instead of 8mm Lebel. Because they were rushed out of the door, these versions were very badly made and were nothing short of a disaster. And so most of the American troops exchanged them for the earlier 8mm versions, which did work before going into combat. Despite all of the negativity which surrounds the Chauchat, in reality, it was an ideal weapon for its time. It did the job, and it was cheap to mass produce, just what the French army needed. And so around about 250,000 Chauchats were manufactured in 8mm Lebel, making it the most popular automatic weapon of the Great War. But anyway, moving over to Battlefield 1, the Chauchat was a DLC exclusive weapon from They Shall Not Pass, and there's two versions of the gun, the Low Weight and the Telescopic. But you'll need to complete a few small assignments first to unlock them, which I'll be going over a bit more later on. So it's time to check out those stats, and I'm going to start off with the Chauchat's strongest feature, the damage behind those rounds. With a maximum of 35 up to 10 meters and a minimum of 23 beyond 40 meters, the gun is going to inflict a lot more damage than the other support weapons. The Chauchat can kill an enemy in just 3 bullets up to 12 meters, whereas the others will need at least 5. Its minimum damage is actually on par with the other gun's maximums, which basically means that it'll be able to take down other players in 5 bullets at longer ranges, giving it a huge damage advantage across the board. The second highest damage dealing LMGs are both the Browning rifle and the Benet Mercie, but the Chauchat was still going to kill in 1 less bullet than them beyond 12 meters and 2 less bullets under 12 meters, which nicely shows us just how dangerous the gun really is. Aside from hurting people more, there's a few things thrown into the Chauchat's stats to help balance it a bit, and probably the most obvious thing to point out is the fact that it only fires at a measly 360 RPM, which is the slowest support fire rate by quite a lot. To put things into perspective, it's exactly the same fire rate as the Autoloading 8, which is a medic rifle which fires in semi-auto. And the second slowest support weapon is the Benet Mercie, which is still going to fire about 25% faster than the Chauchat. Despite this though, it still has the quickest support kill time in close quarters, but one of the slowest beyond, because of that sluggish RPM. And so accuracy is usually going to play a much bigger role in being successful with it, as missing too many shots will give your opponent more time to fight back. This is where we encounter another one of the Chauchat's drawbacks, as its recoil pattern is a very jumpy one. With a vertical kick of 0.55 and a horizontal value of 0.22, the gun is going to jolt upwards more than the others, making it a less stable weapon to use. It's fairly accurate, as that 0.22 horizontal movement isn't really anything to cry about, but it still might mean that a few shots might fly over your opponent's head if you hold down the trigger. Fortunately though, there's a little secret stat thrown in here to make life a bit easier. The Chauchat's got the lowest first shot multiplier of just 1.2, which means that it's more tap and burst fire friendly than the other LMGs, and so simply tapping the trigger is a good way to counter that violent kick. The gun's muzzle velocity is the lowest of the pack, though it's not exactly miles slower than the others, so it should seem fine enough to use over range as it is. Like the Browning rifle, the Chauchat has a fairly small magazine size of just 20 rounds. It's not going to blaze through ammo quite as quickly, but it's still not very much to work with. Because the gun deals so much damage, you can kill quite a few enemies in just one mag. though you'll still probably need to reload more than normal, which could leave you a bit vulnerable up in the front lines. Now there's two different variations of the Chauchat, with the first being the low weight, which is unlocked by getting 50 kills with the Lewis Gun Suppressive, and by performing 75 resupplies with those ammo pouches and crates. The low weight variant basically allows the gun to recover about 67% quicker from recoil in ADS, and 200% quicker whilst hip firing. It's not going to improve the recoil pattern in any way, but once you stop shooting the gun, it'll recover from recoil faster, which is probably going to help you out when you're tapping the trigger to hit targets further away. As for the telescopic variant, which can be unlocked by getting 15 kills with the Benet Mercie Telescopic in a round, and by killing 10 players with the mortar, this kits you out with a telescopic scope, and gives you a generally lower spread while stationary. I should point out that both variants have a bipod available, though with the telescopic variant having less spread while stationary and a magnified optic, this will probably be the best one to pick if you want to plant down to take opponents out from afar. So overall, the Chauchat is the support equivalent to the Medic's RSC 1917. It's going to hurt more than the other LMGs and ultimately kill in less bullets. But this comes at the cost of a much slower fire rate, bouncy kick, and pretty small magazine capacity. With it having the smallest first shot multiplier of the LMGs though, you can quite easily counter that vertical recoil, which is going to help you out a lot in those mid to long range battles. It's a fairly accurate weapon, and despite it having a fairly slow kill time further away, you can hit targets quite easily, as long as you tap the trigger and utilise that bipod. It's got the fastest support kill time up close, with that massive damage advantage, making it a fairly versatile weapon to use. It's definitely got its drawbacks, and accuracy is going to play a huge role in doing well, as the Chauchat isn't the kind of gun that you can spray and pray with. But so long as you don't rush into fights too quickly, that heavy firepower can punish opponents at all ranges, providing you can master the kick that comes with it. But that's all for another one guys, give me a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for loads more on my channel. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.